Us, everyone. I hope everyone is well. Thanks to everyone's support for the Kyokushin Shuffle. I have an almighty guest here. I surprise people every now and again, and this is the fun bit of running the Kyokushin Shuffle because we can get some really cool high-profile, martial artists, and none other here than 11-time Muay Thai world champion, Nathan Carnage Corbett from Huntington Beach in the USA, California. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. It's good to be on the chat with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on this. And I guess, as I was just talking to you earlier, yeah, it's the Kyokushin Shuffle, but I've wanted to put it on an angle that the Kyokushin is the base of my style for 20 years, but the shuffle bit is it can go anywhere, and we can bring on, special guests like yourself. So thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. And, my first interest when I saw you doing it with the big bangers there. And I thought, well, my heart is with karate because that was my foundation. That's where I started. So
yeah, well,
it wasn't Kyokushin style. It was a Shotokan Shirin-Jiru base, but
yeah,
much the same, really.
Well, there you have it. Let's get stuck into it. Let's deep dive right now, and let's fit this hour in as best we can with just going in. And I always start with just breaking the ice with what attracted you to a martial art? Was it you lived nearby something? Was a mate that you joined karate? There's everyone that's got this really cool angle of where they started. How did it happen? And how did how'd you get your hands dirty with it?
No, actually, it was a super cool story, and I was kind of blessed that karate was what come to me because at the time, I got sort of in a little ruffle at school. One of my friends, King, hit me, and I didn't know really what to do, and we kind of we got broken up before it was really anything too bad. But I rode home going, okay, well, if that's going to happen again, I've got to kind of know what I'm doing. And before that moment, I never even considered fighting or martial arts. I was just surfing and just wasn't like, in a nature of around violence. It just happened to me. So I went home and I wasn't living with my dad. My mum and dad had broken up, but I must have reached out to my dad and said, hey, Dad, I want to box because the guy who hit me was a boxer. And he's like, no, that's a mug sport. You're not boxing. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't really kind of know. I knew what a mug was, but I didn't really kind of understand it. I didn't really question it too much. And then it was almost like it must have been a God thing or whatever you call it, universal energy, because my mom had been at a restaurant, and that restaurant was connected to this karate school, and they were giving out, she got this 1 month free training, karate training, like just around that same time when I was looking for something to do. So that's how I ended up in karate versus boxing.
Yeah.
But then my dad was like, well, hey, I did karate when I was 18 or 20 years old, and I loved it back then. I know it would be good for you. So then we joined karate together.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So then the first, basically 2.5 years, my dad did karate with me. And obviously then I sort of, got more serious and continued on. And maybe he got more serious with business and life. He said, okay, maybe you're okay. You're on your feet. And he stepped away from karate training, and I sort of just kept going, and then become my whole life.
Oh man, see that, that's the cool bit, right? Just a pamphlet, a restaurant, a this, and then bang, we're at this stage. So when you got stuck into you're in the gi, you're not a lad that's normally seen in a gi. I'll give you that, right? With your Muay Thai background, but you're in the gi. What was an influence there for you? Was it your sensei? Was it the founder of your style? What was getting you, really enjoying it, or what was the angle there?
Well, you know what? I started there with no real idea, what it was, other than the fact that I wanted to learn, self-defense or martial arts or fighting, all these kind of things. And over the time, of course, I started to learn and realize it wasn't just about fighting. There was so much more about it. There's so much more depth to it. And even now when I go to the UK, one of my friends in the UK, when I do seminars, he's got a karate dojo, and I put on a karate gi, and I grabbed one of his old senseis, which is one of my teachers' belt, who passed away, and I put his black belt on.
Awesome.
And I don't remember all my katas, but I could put the belt on, and I'm just like, boom. It's almost like as soon as I put that belt on and the gi on,
Yeah.
I become like really like a sensei, like poof, like a military sensei, just like razor sharp. You could cut the air with the sword kind of feeling. It's got this, and it was amazing. It just has this feeling to it. And I remember when I was a teenager, if I didn't have my gi on, I didn't think I could throw a punch or a kick.
Yeah, right.
You know, it felt like I can't.
Yeah.
I can't even throw a kick or a punch without my, I guess, magic suit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, you know, I moved on into, actually when I was 16, I was still training karate, and I met my Muay Thai coach at the time. One of my next door neighbors said, you know, you should train Muay Thai. It's really good. And when I have a look, had a look at it, and it was more contact. Yeah. Of course, you know, with obviously Muay Thai, a bit more contact in the sports side of it. So I fell in love with that too, but I didn't give up karate. I did both. I was training, cross training a little bit. And
you said
my style of
you went into Kyokushin tournaments though, yeah? You said you...
Yes, I was going to say, like, my style of karate was koshiki, which was that headgear with the plastic bubble with the armor here. Okay. So it was bare knuckle to the head, full contact, but of course, like the plastic thing to not hit the face. Yeah. So it was kind of like a hybrid sport karate, like it was full contact, but it was still like hit, stop, okay, call, score the points, no leg kicks. Okay. So then I'm doing Muay Thai. I'm like, I need a leg kick, you know. I need a leg kick these guys, right? Chop these legs down. I wasn't really fancy head kicker, so I'm like, I'm going to chop these legs down. So then I started to see these like Seido-kan and these Kyokushin full contact karate tournaments, and I went and entered them. Yeah, man. Just by myself. I was the only one from my dojo that would do it. Yeah. And I'd go into these things and just start leg kicking people. I loved it, and obviously body punching and just smashing each other up, and it was brilliant. And then, of course, when I finished school, I stopped kickboxing for about a year or two, and I just focused on karate. I was teaching kids karate, adults karate, and then the end of '99, I kind of just sort of had a little bit of a sort of not a fallout, but kind of like a bit of a disappointment in my dojo at the time, and I already had trained Muay Thai, so in 2000, I just said, you know, I'm gonna go all the way with Muay Thai and give it a crack. Who knows where I didn't know where that was going to take me then, but of course it took me all the way through. So well, nice lead in, and as I've gestured many times, you know, you've just put a nice 5-10 minute summary on a 10-year block of your life, you know, as a teenager. Yeah, of course. It's so difficult, but that's a good indicator for us to understand now a bit of the pedigree of what turned you into the Carnage and respect for and then, brother, when I talk about mindset on my mindset coaching stuff, and I talk about the Carnage and the Carnage mentality, you know, it comes from like basically like, you know, that Kyokushin punch was like one hit, one kill. That's it. Because we're not fighting for points. We're not fighting for anything. It's not a sport. It was actually war. Yeah. So the art was developed for war. Forget self-defense. That's just a pretty name to it. It was really for war. So my first 3 years of expression in any kind of form of fighting was like, bah! You know, like a one hit, one kill, like you straight through someone. It wasn't just like tap, 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 let's move around, duck and weave, like none of this stuff. It was just crunch, you know, hitting makiwara board, hitting bare knuckle. Yeah. So when I went into Thai boxing, I had that essence, I had that seed, the karateka in me. Not even realizing and knowing it that it was just there, because that's all my first expression and impression of martial arts was. And then I took that into my elbows. When I throw elbows, I'm not throwing an elbow to try and cut you. I'm trying to throw an elbow to break you in half. No, well, here we go, because that has been the side of you that's opened up in respect of, you know, we get to see and communicate with you more on social media, and like I gestured previously, I was in Blitz family for a while, and you know, you're in Kickboxer magazine front covers, you name it, right? Articles on you. And now from my end, you know, following you for so long, we get to hear your expression, we get to understand your journey a little bit more, and that's the cool bit. And I want to, before we go into your 11-time world titles and that illustrious career, you just gestured it with the mindset angle, and that was the cool bit of what I'm enjoying more as a teacher as well, is hearing someone like yourself go, hold on a second, guys, you know, guys as in your fans and listeners around the world,
there is the angle of sport, there is the angle of the art. Now you're just trying to gesture the mindset of what both have done for you, you know, and with that, you know, can you share more? You know, you're doing more talks and you're trying to get more, I guess, going up on stage and trying to put more of a mindset angle towards your speaking. Is that right? How's that going? And share with us a little bit of that so people can understand. If they want to contact you, man, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so basically, like I always, you know, I never really was afraid of a camera. Obviously, through my fight career, you get a lot of cameras in front of you. You know, you get a lot of media, and you sort of organically are trained in media. No one's really training you, but you're organically training. You know, you're doing interviews with TV, with radio. Of course, being a champion, a superstar on the Gold Coast, and I've got a lot of TV, sort of, you know, news reports and radio reports and all these kind of things happening. And when you win a fight, you're on the microphone in front of crowds. So over those years of doing that, you know, develop a skill for speaking, develop a skill for being in front of people. And then so that's how I kind of developed the idea of being, you know, on camera and talking. But when I finished fighting, why I'm so passionate now, to be honest, about the mindset and talking about encouraging people through mindset versus, I know the thing is, I know if I go and throw like, you know, a crazy elbow combination on a pad and put it on Facebook, people are going to go, oh, you know, it's exciting. And it is exciting because the Carnage is smashing something with an elbow. It's great. But as I've, you know, slowly, you know, gotten past the idea that I'll ever be a professional fighter again, and then I move into my future and I even look further into the future in 5, 10 years and 20 years from now, it's not easy to physically just keep smashing. And so that made me circle back around and go, okay, well, what's the biggest value I can give someone? What's the biggest value? Even when I do my seminars, I've done 130 seminars around the world since I retired fighting.
Unreal.
And when I go there, unless I go back there 5 times, maybe they'll never remember the technique. Maybe they'll never really remember the elbow. Maybe they'll never really remember the combination.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I picked up and I learned from this journey was that they'll remember energy.
Yeah, man.
They'll remember the energy of the Carnage. They'll remember their presence. They'll remember the intensity of the Carnage. They'll remember the determination with the energy that goes with that, and the mentality. So it comes back to mentality.
Yep.
I was like, if I leave here today, and I'd say that sometimes at the end of a seminar, if I leave here today and you've learned one thing, and that's just to turn up to training on Monday with a little bit more intensity, then my job is done correctly. Is to inspire people.
Yeah.
Then when I've done all that, and then so it's not only just physically, I can't always just keep bashing things. I still will teach, but I realized the potency of words and the potency of the experiences through the mindset of going through the battles and going through the trauma and going through the championships and walking down the runway and having the pressure of the crowd and the belt and everything on top of that to lose. That obviously gained me a lot of experience around like the intensity of like mindset and the intensity of the game. Yeah. So I thought instead of just talking to fighters that want to learn how to do an elbow, this can really be broad. Basically, anyone can listen to it from any age, you know, as long as they can hear. Yep. You know, it's available to them, and it possibly could be either life-changing for them or just a little bit inspiring for them, or it might just motivate them on a bad day. Yeah. And there's so many levels to it. So that's kind of like the reason why I feel like drawn towards speaking. Yeah. And helping people, and also I just share my experiences through my life so far. Yeah. To try and make it organic, to try and make it feel like, well, I'm not trying to read something out of a book and make it up. No. You know, reading's very important. I like to read, but I also don't really read and then sort of educate through the book. Sure. Although I probably will in the future, but for now it's more like, okay, well, I'm just talking directly from my heart, from my soul, from my experience, and my spirit, and then putting it through the lens. Yeah, it's unreal, mate. It's motivating already, and you're just scratching the surface, respectfully, because you know you've moved to the States. For those that aren't aware, you know, in the Gold Coast for your whole life, and then you've taken that step, you've taken that uncomfortable, I guess, challenge. You know, you've
picked up your life, you've left your son and family here as such in Oz, and then you've gone overseas, and then you've in other interviews that I've listened, you've got angles in so many areas. You could be an MMA coach, you could be an analyst on, on fight cards. You can, and then slowly you're just working your way through and going about your business accordingly, and your humbleness in just going, look, I'll learn, I'll go about it. But this side, to be honest, in hearing you talk about, and this is the part I want the episode to be, because to get someone like yourself as a guest, it's unreal, because now you've just segued us into your mindset a little bit and how you're progressing it with others. But now I've seen articles, I've read articles, I've been a part of it where you didn't bullshit around here. All right. So I want you to share with others. You had a lethal mindset with your opponents in getting 11 fucking championships, for ladies and gentlemen, 11-time world champion. He's walking in the ring to hold to have all that pressure as such. You've got to have an unbelievable mindset. And I want you to share with us any story or any highlight or any angle that, hopefully you don't reveal too much, because you're probably building these up to your stage talks and your seminars.
No, I don't mind, because it doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. Everyone listens at different times, and the message will get to them when it's meant to get to them. So,
cool.
It's all good, and I could tell a story 100 times, because maybe people need to hear it 100 times, or every time I tell it, it's a slightly bit different. I might come up with a different adjective or a different word or a different expression. Like, I never know. I know what's coming out, because I know it's real, but I don't know how I'm going to deliver it at the time. But look, you know what? Like, I always talk about, and recently I've been talking a lot about finding your why. Finding your why, and how that's so important, because that why factor is what will drive you, because it's what matters to you. Your why is what matters to you.
Sure.
For me, when I was 14, what mattered to me was to learn how to defend myself, to learn to be strong, to learn how to fight, to be an animal, if that's the word you want to use, if I had to be, So that was my why. So then my why was so big that I would go to karate, and I'd be diligent with my training. I'd be disciplined with my training, and I'd going into these Kyokushin tournaments. Why? I was still nervous, but I went there because I knew I had to try and practice fighting. Because you remember, we're modern day warriors. A modern day warrior doesn't fight on the street. A modern day warrior doesn't fight to protect his village, because it's not of that era. We're in the modern day. So we practice in a controlled environment, to a sense, where it's a tournament. And it's still brutal, because the guy's trained and trying to take you out, but it obviously has some kind of controlled environment to it. So, the why is so important. So that's what drove me to that point. Yeah. But then the why always doesn't have to necessarily be the same why. It can change. So, for example, my first part of martial arts journey, that's what my why was. And then when I started Muay Thai, it wasn't really about that anymore. Now it was about, I finished school. I don't really have any, like passions around anything else. Like, I didn't I want to be a doctor. I want to be a farmer. I want to be a builder. I want to be a mechanic. None of that was like in my sights. I just knew I still loved this martial journey. I still loved this warrior's way. And I just said, okay, I'm going to keep going. We'll see how we go. Then when I turned to Muay Thai and obviously started fighting, and it was more of a professional sport where you could kind of like develop something. I still didn't know early days that I'd become anything. But the why changed to, I don't want to be average.
Yeah, right.
I refuse to be average. I refuse to be average in my life, that I'm going to leave school and just, have a gym's mowing service and mow lawns and go home and get married, have kids, and then mow my last lawn and then die, And I don't look down on anyone who does that, because everyone's got their own journey. I just know that myself personally, that wasn't enough for myself. Even though my dad was a builder, I'm like, I don't want to be a builder, whatever. So my next thing was, I don't want to be average. I don't want to be average. So if you don't want to be average, then what do you want to be? You want to be above average, or you want to be great, right? So of course, great was the words I use now, but back then I wouldn't use I want to be great.
Sure.
Just look at maybe people that you look up to. That you look up to these fighters that are above you, and you go, okay, I want to be like that. So that driving force to not want to be average, when you combine that with the spirit of karate, the techniques I learned from Muay Thai, the stage was Muay Thai, that I refused to lose because my will to win was so big because I refused to be average.
Yeah.
And by losing made me average.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that people lose and it doesn't make them average, but my mindset,
Yes.
myself,
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell my student if he loses, you're average.
Yeah.
I'm going to say you're a warrior because you actually went and had a crack.
Awesome.
And let's rebuild you and go again. Because I lost some fights, along my journey, but not. So it doesn't mean that you're average by losing. But for me, we're talking about the mindset of Carnage right now, Nathan Corbett. And before I even was named Carnage, this was still my mindset. And it was about that. So then all of a sudden when I stepped into the arena, it was about many different things. One is I don't want to be average. And two is this is not a sport. This is not a sport, and there is no judge and there is no referee. I don't fight for points. I don't set up shots for points. I don't kick to the body because a kick adds more points in Muay Thai than a punch. I'm going in there to take you out. If it's a kick, if it's the punch, it's the knee, it's the elbow, whatever it is. If you last 5 rounds, then you're an honourable man and you lasted the distance. You've trained well and your arm is strong. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But so those things are what sort of drove me to becoming Australian champion 4 times. Then I got a world title, then another world title, and then I was like, okay, well now I'm world champion. There's no way in the world I'm going to walk into the ring tonight with my belt. And walk out without it. No chance. Like I just can't accept it.
Okay.
I don't accept it. I don't accept it. So that's how the mentality it was built.
It's grown
through those things that eventually it was I wanted to learn how to defend. I want to be a warrior. I want to be a man. Then it was like, okay, well now I want to be like something special. I want to do something special in my life. But then I took that energy of wanting to be special, which means you had to just win. Let's be honest. Like there's winners and losers, but there's only really winners. In a fight sport, if you want to be a champion, you have to win.
Correct.
And I already said to myself, if I lose 2 fights in a row, I'm going to retire.
Putting that accountability.
I never said, if I lose twice in a row, I'm done. It means I shouldn't be there.
Okay.
You shouldn't be there. If you're going to lose 2 in a row, you shouldn't be in there. It's not a game to be mucking around losing 2 fights. So that was, and again, I treat other people differently to how I treat myself. And I speak differently sometimes to other people. And even more so when I'm talking now about mindset, I have to be also aware that they're not me. And they don't have the same purpose and motive and same drive, the same mindset that I have. But I like to share this mindset because I still think it has a lot of value.
Oh, indeed.
A lot of value to people coming up in fight sports or people just coming up in life or people who are in business or even in relationships, the way you can even treat a relationship that way,
Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's fantastic because it's refreshing, as I say, to hear. My blink is a Kyokushin, but then it's in mixed martial arts as well. Now I call it that because it's all things. As a sensei, I watch all avenues and listen to all things, but the synergies are the same. When I fought and so forth, you try to instill as much as you can into the students or whoever wants to get an angle from it. But then you've just got to detach yourself a little bit and then just go with like you've just said, hey man, this is what made me successful. All right. This is what made me tick. This is what made me the champion I am. Now you can grab a bit of that, or you can grab all of it and see how you go with it. And you're there in support. Hey, so you've got that now we can all understand how your mindset is. And that was great because now for me, when I would see you go in the ring, back to the no BS angle, Muay Thai has its respectful energy of, pre-fight, post-fight, there is that angle. There's not a UFC spectacle in just talking shit and smack and so forth, which brings the audience as such. But the angle for you as an Australian now, and I like dabbling when you go overseas, when you're fighting overseas and you're in foreign territory. And one of the fights that I want to raise, and I don't mean to be cheeky here if it has anything, but one of the best bouts that I've watched and I've shown my students is your bouts against Tyronne Sponge. Now, you beat him the first time and then, you know, the two of the best in the world at the time. How are you, you know, you got him and then you had to go again. Is there something you can share with us there with the way you were just preparing for it, and then also how you felt? Because if it was just that, you know, like you said, I'm going in, it's game over, no matter what, you're not getting what you're going to get. How did that all feel for 1 and 2?
Yeah, it's a really good subject, you know, and because that, I mean, every rematch I ever had in my life, I won, except for the Tyronne Sponge. I mean, I every rematch I had in my career in Australia, with Steve McKinnon, different guys, Clifton Brown, I fought him twice, you know, Steve Dallister, fought Aaron Boyes, fought these guys twice, you know, and beat them all. Tyronne Sponge, I didn't beat them all. Now, the thing about Tyronne Sponge that no one really knows the full story about is that the first fight with Tyronne Sponge is I was 86 kilogram world champion, and he was fighting at 95 kilograms. And I went to Thailand to promote the Champions of Champions, which is in Jamaica, which was the show called, that was the name of the show, 2009. And I flew in there, and it was like 86 kilos. I'm going to defend my world title. We're promoting the WMC because it was WMC at the time. There'll be 10 world title fights, 10 world Muay Thai title fights. Either you were defending or someone was going for it. In my case, I was defending because I already had it, like 4 times or something. 3 times, I don't know. But anyway, I had it. Yeah. So then I go to Thailand, and then after the 4th day, they were heckling me for days, the management. Clifton Brown's business partner, heckling me. Oh, we've got Tyronne Sponge's manager on the phone. You know, we want you to fight Tyronne Sponge. I said, if he wants to fight me, let's fight. It's elbows, no problem. I'm fighting 86 kilos. That's my weight. I was walking around 91 kilos, but I was cutting 5 like everyone. Yep. And I said, that's it, you know. So I said, no, I'm not interested, you know. So day 1, day 2, day 3, and I said, look, guy, he's got his manager on the phone. I'm like, he wants to fight Muay Thai. That's all good. Let's do it. You know, I'm not a K1 fighter. Yep. And on the 4th day, which was like, I think the 4th day we were there, and then we're having a going away party, and they've come to me and they've gone, look, we're going to give you $10,000 more if you say yes, which was big money at the time. I think I was getting $15,000 for the fight, and it was $25 to get. It was like $40,000 with exchange, and I was like, wow, you know, like it's big money. So I was like, well, you know, I'm not afraid of a challenge because I never said no to any opponents. I always fought whoever the promoter said put in front of me. So it wasn't that I was saying no to him if he was my weight with my rules, because I'm a Muay Thai fighter. I mean, I'm not trying to challenge him K1. I'm saying, if you're challenging me, let's fight Muay Thai. Sure. So then I just said, okay, let's do it. But it was 93 kilos. Okay. His weight, and no elbows, right? So no one knows that, even though everyone knows it wasn't elbows. No one knows that I sort of gave away basically like 7 kilograms in weight. I gave away the elbows, which was my number 1 weapon as far as dominating people's minds. I'd mind control them with I didn't even throw an elbow. If I just went like that, you'd think, oh, back, what's your ball? I'm going to get you going. So I didn't even need to throw the elbow. You just have to know the elbow's coming. You're gonna cover up. I'm gonna body shot you. So he doesn't have to worry about that now. So he's taken away a lot of things. Of course, as we know, the fight was hard. He dropped me. It was a battle, and then I got the KO, and then it was a non-contest, whatever. But so it was a hard fight, and it was one of the hardest fights in my life up to that point because it was the first time I got into the ring against someone that was as strong as me, if not stronger. Everyone else I felt I fought. I felt I was stronger than him in some way, or I just over-dominated him either way. Yep. But this time I was like faced with myself, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, this guy's an animal, and he is. Right? It's Tyron Spong, king of the ring. So I get the win, but it was all obviously non-controversial loss because of the second knockdown, unfortunately, because I pulled the trigger thinking he was saying fight on, but it was, unfortunate. So I kind of left there with a big hole of feeling like I didn't really get the victory and so forth. So it kind of never really gave me a feeling. So now you want to fast forward to 2013. Glory be wanting me to fight in kickboxing, and I was not interested because it's 2012. I had Total Carnage. I just beat Stefan Spiggy for my title fight, and I just beat Steve McKinnon. You know, I was like, I'm sweet. I'm doing Thai boxing. I'm in my country. You know, like it's Muay Thai. I'm getting older. I'm fine. So they contacted me, and they kept hassle me. So I said, okay, all right, no worries. What are you going to offer me? So they said, I'll offer you a 2-fight deal for 30 grand a fight, right? So I said, all right. I said, I said, okay, but I'll only fight if you match me with Spong.
Okay.
No one knows that.
Okay. Wow.
No one knows that.
There you have it.
Till now. Only fight if you match me with Spong. Spong was undefeated in 5 fights. He'd knocked out 4 of his 5. He'd beat Remy Bonjaski. He'd beat Peter Earth. He'd won an 8-man tournament. Was training at Black Zillions with the biggest,
baddest boys
sparring
in
partners in the world. Like even the current UFC champion Usman. Sparring with the guys, sparring with
you name it.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Fuck.
Looking like he's the leanest machine and jacked to the nines.
He was.
I had one fight. It lasted 10 seconds in the elbow.
You finished it. Yeah.
Before that fight. So in 10 months, I had one fight, went 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I was getting older.
Yeah.
I was living on the Gold Coast training at Urban Fight Gym. I had one sparring partner, which was a Samoan that was tough, but had only like 5 fights.
Okay.
I had no sparring partners. I had a gym full of teenagers.
Sure.
And here I am now going to go fight Tyron Spong at 95 kilograms when he come down from 110.
Yeah.
And I was 93 kilos 2 weeks before the fight. Weighed in at 95 because obviously I didn't have to starve, so I just ate through the weigh-in.
Sure.
And
wow.
I mentally, I think, beat myself before stepping in there with just all of those odds and then where I was at. Even though I said to myself, even though I took the fight, mind you, I said I wanted more money, so I got 50 grand for the fight.
We'll take it.
Like, Spong, I need to get paid for this
shit. Yeah.
So I negotiated all that myself.
Wow.
And the first fight, by the way, no manager, no trainer. Did both of them by myself. And I went in there and I kind of didn't really have my full Carnage belief in myself.
Fair enough.
Before I got in there.
Yeah.
And that's my only regret in my career is that I just didn't just go, let's go.
Yeah.
Feel like a Mark Hunt, Ray Jeffo moment, and just stood there.
And just stand still in the tire, bang.
Yeah, just stand there. Let's just scrap. Come on, because I've got that in me too. I can scrap, but I technically scrap, So I that was the only sort of thing in my career I kind of upset at myself because I let my mind at that time. And that's why I can speak about mindset is because I've been on both ends of the scale,
Bang.
And knowing what it can do to you.
And you went in talking all of that for the listeners. What I got out of it is, there's a fight scene and there's the fight as Nathan's platform, but more so he shared with us adversity, the challenges in his internal self, the external challenges there of doing his own fucking deals twice, and having to have that noise and distraction. There's all these factors that just came into it then. So try and peel that back to the listeners and not just see the fight side of it, because that's just the platform, but everything else that you just shared there, Nathan, it taps into so much. And I appreciate you sharing that because I don't mean to rub it in, but they're 2 of the fights that I share with students and that I share because of, and now we know a lot of background. So to my students listening, hallelujah, listen to that. So thank you for sharing that because it brought in, adversity, mindset, a little bit of tactics there from your end, knowing that now the elbows are out. So then and then they know, hey man, that's like taking that's a whole nother conversation, but I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah.
And the thing is that, the reason why I said, okay, I asked for Spong straight away. It's like having a fight, having 2, and then people go, okay, you should fight Spong because obviously you got the history. You knocked him out. No one else has knocked him out before.
No.
That's why we're friends now because, obviously we're finished fight. I'll finish fighting. He's not fighting Muay Thai, in boxing, but we're buddies because he's never been knocked out before and he knows I knocked him out cold.
Yeah. And it was huge.
Hey, so then going into the second fight was like I knew that they were going to want it. I knew they were going to want that fight to happen. And I just thought, you know what, like, I'm getting old. If I don't do it now, I don't know if my body will last, which it proved because 6 months later, I had 2 fights within 6 months. My 11th world title fight, I fought Gokhan Saki. My ear got ripped open, which was an accident. That didn't hurt. It was just a mess. And then I went home to heal, not thinking about retiring. And then after about 3 months of healing, I literally just woke up one day and I just couldn't do it anymore. And then I waited till I was 35, which was like 6 months after that fight with Saki. And I was like, I'm 35, like, now's the time. And I kept training, going to the gym, doing some bag work and keeping in shape. And my body was burnt out. I just couldn't do it anymore.
Well, let's move to that phase. And again, we respect the time that we have here, because I guess, I think I know your numbers off the top of my head, but correct me if I'm wrong, but if you can review, it's ended up being 65 odd, fight. Am I right around that number? Can you give us the number of fights you've had?
I've counted 64 fights, 60 wins, 42 knockouts. Some other people count 59. Cool. And I'm just like,
that's
whatever.
Cool. Yeah, well, I'm sharing with others that, get a grasp here, in a 10 to 12 year patch here, 60 odd fights. And then your last one against it, and again another no Joe Blow, one of the best, and then you've
probably one of the best kickboxers of all, of the modern history era. Other than the K1 heavy guys like Nestor Houston, all those guys, and Sam Greco, but probably the modern day best one of all time.
So you're on the couch, you got back home, you're 35, mid 36, and then bang, you've gone back to the gym as such, you've tried to find that spark and you're just trying to work your way through. Then what's happened? Has something happened, or was it are you fatigued? Are you mentally fatigued? Was your body fatigued? What was it?
Yeah, I just really felt like my body just didn't recover anymore. It was just like I now have researched into neurophysics, and I burnt my nervous system out, just from, I guess, redlining, being Carnage, 15 years. I had a fight career for 15 years.
Sure.
And like, I only had 64 fights. Like, some people have a lot more, but I was like, I used to go balls to the wall on everything I did. Sparring, bag training, sprint training, weight training, fighting. Like, it wasn't just in there to dance. So it took a toll on my body. Like I always said, I was never genetically like gifted. Like some athletes are genetically gifted. You see them in AFL and stuff like that. They're just genetically gifted athlete.
Okay.
You see it in fighting, you see it in some sports. And I never believed I was genetically gifted.
Okay.
So I just kind of like really went for it with that whole like I explained at the beginning, the will to win and the will not to be average. And just must have just cooked the engine, and it was time, I guess. And I do remember, like in 2011, I remember I was in NPL league in America, and I was before the fight. I was out the back before I went out. I just didn't want to be there anymore, And I was like, oh, this feeling's weird. And I don't know what this feeling is. I don't know why. I don't want to be there anymore. But I went out and I won the fight. Thomas Aron knocked him out in one round with an elbow. Smashed him, actually. And then went to Holland, had another fight. 2012, fought Stefan Spiggy, 5 rounds for my belt. Fought Steve McKinnon, 5 rounds. So I come back, And 2013 comes. And I remember when I was out the back with Spong, it was kind of the same feeling when I was out the back with Saki in Istanbul. I was kind of like the same feeling. It wasn't just like, fuck, okay. Like when I fought Magnum Sakai in 2005 for the WBC Cruiserweight title fight, I was just like, like I was nervous and I was whatever, but I was just like, I'm determined, I'm getting this. So it was just kind of like that, the essence of that wasn't quite the same. I was like more nervous, more numb, not kind of like excited, but like hungry, but more like, okay, it's a business. I need to fight. I need to make money. There's nothing else I can do in my life. I don't know else. I don't have any other things I know I can do because like I said, I left school and went straight to fighting. So it was almost like I just kept going because it was like I was finally getting a couple of little paychecks that weren't. Sure. By the way, all that money's gone, but it's like it was something. Yeah. And I kind of felt like I was kind of doing it more for that than it was like when I was younger, when I was just like, I'm doing this for greatness. I'm doing this. I don't care about the money or I want to get paid because I want to have a good life, and money is a good life too. But it was a different time, and I think that if I even just talking to you now, it makes it more clear to me that I just had that feeling coming, and I think it was just like my body telling me, you know, we're tired, we've had enough. Then I developed anxiety because I'm like anxious about what am I going to do with my life.
Sure,
you know?
sure.
And anxiety is that constant living in the future, unsure where you're going. So then I had the anxiety, so there was a nervous system anxiety, and just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then stress, and then total stress.
Like, obviously injuries, you know, like bones and problems.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. And it's,
35 now, I just had double hip replacements, you know, a year ago.
let's get to that as well in a second. Jesus. Well, I guess
so there's a lot of shit going on.
Well, again, you share so much, and I appreciate it. And from the angle that I want to just summarize a little bit there for listeners that I've just felt a little, you know, in Nathan is, you know, what he shares is also the why and the drive at the start and the energy of your youth and your direction and what's going on. But then you're right at the top for so long, and you've got so many that want to knock you down, and you have such a target on your back, and some have the mindset to just shrug it off and continue on like you did for 15 years flat, no bullshit.
Title in 2003. Yeah. And I was undefeated as a world champion in 10 years.
Yeah. So there you go. Right. So I think, you know, just saying that, since Nathan, is a big credit, man. You know, I don't know if you hear it often from people, but fuck, you got to give yourself some form of, you know, the tap on the back type of gesture. But man, that is something that is, it's you know, George St. Pierre is one that's done it, and, you know, yeah, his fame and so forth is taking him somewhere. And then you're someone like yourself, John Wayne Park. There's certain people that like that, but they're great. You've achieved it. You definitely fucking achieved it. There's no doubt about it. And I hope you give yourself some form of credit there, because from a lad that sat back and watched it consistently, no fucking, you know, gimmicks on how you went about it. You know, you were always prepared. You were always on point, you know, no bullshit on weights and all these tricks, and always on point, which meant, which leads me to the way that you conducted this yourself, the way that you are now. It led to these results. You didn't just, you know, and to the listeners, these results, they didn't just come about because you fucked about and when, you know, like you said, not naturally gifted. You worked your absolute ass off. You did. Yeah. Yeah. You know, so
absolutely, no, absolutely. And thank you for saying that, and thank you for the reminder, and for the you know, confirmation of, man, I did achieve that, and I did reach that success, and I know that, and it's been fantastic. And just recently, when they put me in the Hall of Fame for the WBC,
congratulations.
That was kind of nice, because, you know, you have to be retired for one to get in the Hall of Fame. So I was like, okay, there's not much left after retirement until you get a Hall of Fame. But,
yeah, I'll take it.
Okay, sweet. I got one more little belt.
Yeah, no, but hey, I hope connection there with internet. I hope it's all right. So look, you know, just on that note, from me, you know, I know that's the past and so forth, but that leads you to so much. We say it in martial arts, we say it in Kyokushin from my end as well. I fought 15 years, nowhere near the level of you, but world tournaments and so forth, and wanted to succeed and had to succeed and had the you know, the vision of, you know, succeeding and doing well for my teacher and my family and friends because of the time and the sacrifice and all the things that you gave up. And then it's now, and the now bit is how you're passing on your knowledge and how I've been passing. I love coaching. I absolutely love it, because I'm a part of it now, or in some capacity. I'm on the mat with my students now. You know, I got to fight 3-4 times a night if I made the final. But now if I've got 3 fighters in a certain tournament, I'm on there with them. They're 3 times plus 3 times by 3. I'm on 9-10 times, and I'm just like, I'm buzzing, you know, and then we've got things to work on. But for your end, you gestured one thing that got me, not by surprise, but I totally understood it, which was, you know, you're not just a one coach for one fighter now. You know, you've been able to dabble with UFC stars, MMA angles, and different fighters, but you're not just the one coach, because you've got so much to offer. You know, and I agreed when you said, and I heard you say that, I just agreed. And I went, yeah, man, you're just that, you're way above the others, respectfully, and you've been there, seen it, done that. And if you're just showing one guy for 5 years all the blood, sweat, and tears rather than the whole world, yeah, I'm with you with it. How are you going with that as we speak?
Yeah, no, thank you again, and I love that. I love that you're so intelligent. You've done so much research, and it's really cool. So appreciate you having the respect and the time to take that in. So that's exactly true. You know, I come to America 2 years ago, and I did. I left my family, and I appreciate you even saying that because I left my son. He was 16. It was very hard. And I even have moments now where it's hard. Of course, with COVID, I'm kind of stuck here. I can't even visit and whatever, and that's another story. But when I come over here, I kind of was like, well, I don't really have a 100% clear plan, but I just knew the Gold Coast was too small. You know, I didn't have a fight gym. And when I was fighting, I didn't have a fight gym to go, okay, well, come to my fight gym. I could have built one. It's like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I felt like there was more for my life than even just that, because even just that, it's like the students within the gym only, which is awesome. Sometimes I miss it because I love the fight stuff, but then sometimes like it's still small. So I come to America, okay, train some MMA fighters, obviously doing seminars, commentating. I got the Lion Fight, you know, gig for commentary, which is super cool. You know,
Yeah.
Chevalier do that, so it's an honor to be anywhere close to where he's been in the past. And I trained some MMA fighters. You know, I trained Chris Cyborg for a little while. I trained Aaron Pico. I trained some Hawaiians. I trained a couple of, you know, just people along the way. It was good. I enjoyed training them. It's fine, but it's like you said. It's like so I'm focusing here. You know, I'm just like looking through this small hole of putting all this energy. And when I was training this one particular student for like 3 months, he was like my only sight. You know, I put everything into him. I put everything that I learned from 14 years of age to 40 years of age. So I'm 40 now. From karate to Muay Thai to fighting to ups and downs to wins to losses to the pressure, the non-pressure, the deals, everything we just spoke about, everything.
Yeah.
I put that in him for 3 or 4 months, and it was probably received and it was probably rewarded for him, and maybe it was you know an amazing. I know it was an amazing experience for him, but when I think about that, it's too much energy on one soul.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
On one soul, and I just feel a lot more passionate about numbers and people and audiences, and I would love to exactly do what you mentioned in the beginning of the conversation, which was getting on a stage and having like, you know, thousands of people, because I have no fear to speak in front of 10,000 people on stage because I've fought in front of thousands, and I just don't have a problem with it, you know. So and that's kind of like where I see an idealistic future, although I'm still mapping it out.
Yep.
I'm still learning. I come to America. I left everything behind. I've had to build relationships, contacts.
Yeah.
I've had to find some part-time, you know, work, teaching some holding pads, some part-time jobs just to pay the bills and survive. While I'm building, I guess, towards what I hope to believe, you know, a new path forward. I'd had double hip replacement surgery a year ago, so I was kind of still on the back end of recovering from that. It was quite a nasty surgery and a long recovery, a lot longer than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
But I will go back and I will teach my elbow striking system and document it, so it's like, you know, on film, because I've got so much knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah.
Give that to people that I don't want it to be wasted either.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah,
and I want to be able to speak to people, encourage people, inspire people, and motivate people. And I kind of was thinking about it when I was training a student for a long time. I felt empty every day I went home because I was like, I'm pouring my heart and I'm pouring into them, but it was all about their growth. You know?
I get you.
I could never feel like, what about me? Like,
yeah.
What do you mean? Like, I was every night was about me. Every day was about me. Not egotistically or selfishly. No. It just was, because that's what I chose to do. So I created a team around me of trainers, of a gym I like, with a head trainer, with a pad holder, with promoters, with friends, with sponsors. I created that. I built that around what? I built it around a sure thing. Someone who did what he said he was going to do every time, and I did it. And I was red hot. There wasn't 1 second of any round of a fight that I was cold. I never had a bad fight. I was always on. So I did that. So then when I'm training this person, I was like, I'm going home and I'm pouring everything to him, and I feel empty.
Interesting, man. Yeah.
That was an interesting feeling, like why I felt that way. And I realized I needed numbers, I needed mass, I needed volume, I needed people, I needed that constant energy of a lot more people instead of just all one person. So then and that's what I guess spun me more towards like wanting to get on camera. And
Yeah.
And as I learn the game, I'll get more professional with more professional film stuff.
Yeah.
And get reach to a lot more people as well.
Oh man, do it. You know, keep talking
And that kind of fills me up. You know what I mean? Like it fills me up just hearing you. You know, I've researched what I've been doing and bring it up in this conversation. It fills me up to know that you're listening. It's inspired you. It's helped you, because you don't always really get feedback. You know, like
fuck.
The one thing that I've been doing on my social media that no other fighter on this planet does is be vulnerable. No one other superstar, world champion, or anyone of my caliber, retires, gets on Instagram, puts a video up there and talks about vulnerability, and talks about truth. They just
100%.
paint a perfect picture, and maybe they've got a perfect life, and that's good for them.
Sure.
There's a lot of millions of people out there that doesn't have a perfect life, they don't have a perfect mindset, and they don't have a perfect situation, and they don't have a perfect idealistic idea of what they want to do, including myself at times. So I get out there and I be vulnerable as a champion.
Sure.
It's someone that can say to them, I'm Nathan Carnage Corbett, the guy that is under, almost undefeated and destructible carnage, which I still am. Stand in front of me if you want to try, but I'm here to say, hey, we all go through shit.
Okay.
And I want to try and help you, and I want to try and guide you. And by helping you, I need to be vulnerable, and I need to at least expose, not weaknesses, but I need to expose. What I now have learned from one of my own teachers is that it's called sensitivity.
Sure.
Sensitivity is not weakness. Sensitivity is actual and heightened awareness.
Yeah, man.
Which is why I was so aware of my fights.
To
the point where if I went back in my fights, I probably got kicked in the arm 3 times in 64 fights.
Okay.
People get kicked in the arm 3 times every 1 minute in a Thai boxing match. How could no one do a roundhouse kick to my body in 64 fights? How?
Shit.
So I was deflecting their energy by movement. I was deflecting their energy by presence.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Now you're going to use.
Man, that's tough. Man, go for it, mate. You know, Nathan, you got to keep talking it. And that's why I was so pumped to get you on, man, because keep talking it. You are most definitely going to be up on stage. Most definitely are you going to move and inspire so many that you already did, again, on a different platform. I hope I can give you that as a message. Your platform was combat sports as such in a ring, and now it's on a different platform, which is called a stage. And you have exactly what it takes. It's just, again, the right place, right time, right medium is a saying, and you definitely, showing, and your vulnerability is such. I listen to in respect of how you've just gestured it. It's sensitivity. It's a knowledge that some others or many others don't have that you have, and you're sharing it. You're sharing the knowledge of what you had been through and what so many may have followed and may not now follow in respect, because you're not showing an elbow or a punch, but you're verbally touching. You're verbally touching so many mentally now, and I feel it's helping. It's guiding you to where you want to go to, and you chatting to us today has been unreal, and I appreciate you sharing all that.
No, it's been a great conversation and very in-depth conversation. I gave away a lot of insights. And like I said, I'm not afraid to just say it how it is and speak it how it is, and it's all good. I'm strong. I believe in myself. I know who I am. I'm real, and that's it.
Yeah. Nathan, mate, we've got a couple of minutes. It's already gone an hour. Bang, and I appreciate it. Yeah. So, firstly, thank you so much. You are inspiring, you are motivating. You reached out when I put a post up of the guests I had, and I was like, man, I'd love to get you on, and you accepted within a heartbeat. So I appreciate that.
If you've got 3 more minutes, I'll tell you an amazing story.
Go, please. Yeah.
Because Cameron Quinn's included, and I just thought, because of Cameron Quinn, because of those legends like Sam Greco, Cameron Quinn, and what about the Blue Eyes Samurai?
Yeah, I had Nicholas. Yeah.
You had Nicholas on there, right?
Yeah.
I understand you've seen him for ages. What a savage, what a warrior.
Yeah. Go for it, please. Yeah, no.
So in 2003, when I was training at Boonshoe Gym with John Wayne Parr, he kicked me out of his gym, right? Had a fight in April against Blair Hines from Perth, shoot boxing fight, did a suplex and everything. It was unreal. And I think even Cameron Quinn might have been the referee of that fight. And he was like, shoot. And I was like, yeah. Anyway, so then after that fight, Wayne kicks me out of the gym. Okay. So now I'm no longer a member of Bunchu Gym. I've kicked out. So then I walk around to the corner where Ray Matsumura had his office. And I said, oh, Wayne just kicked me out. And I was actually upset because obviously I wasn't expecting it. So then Ray and I were close. I was winning belts and I was doing this. And, so then Ray stuck with me. And then we, went and trained a little bit at this old boxing gym for a couple of months. And then Cameron Quinn in Burleigh on Tyree Street had a Kyokushin dojo, right?
Us.
And on the side of that dojo, which was a big, his dojo was big. On the side of that dojo had this little V cut out of like a V, which was a separate building, but it must have still been his.
Sure.
With just a sliding door with enough, mats to be like maybe 30 mats or something. So then he said, oh, you guys can use this. Right?
Yep.
So we put mats on there, put one pole in the wall with one bag. Right? Yes. That's it. The next door was Cameron Quinn's karate, Kyokushin dojo. Gave us the wall. I mean, Cameron Quinn, he refereed many of my fights, in Explosion and those kind of fights. So we've been close, and it was amazing. So I just wanted to share that because, I had a connection with Cameron Quinn at an early day. He knew I was in karate. He probably saw me at karate tournaments when I was in karate days before I even knew who he was.
Nice.
To just know who he is and know, being, the Uchi Deshi to Oyama, come on, people don't even understand what that means.
Yes.
There'll never be another Oyama ever. People just don't do what they did back then. People just don't. Look, we're stuck in the millennium times where now you get famous for being a dickhead on YouTube and making videos getting rich. There's never going to be another Oyama. There's never going to be another Masashi, of course, but and he was the right-hand man of that person. So in other words, Cameron Quinn needs to be respected.
100%.
And so he's done so many great things in his life. He's always contributed to the sport. So it was just good because we had a little dojo next door, and there was a couple of Japanese boys who come in there and would spar. And then I went to Japan for October actually and trained Yoshida, who was a judo gold medalist. I trained him for 1 month and went to his fight against Vanderlei Silva in Pride, which was Tokyo Dome, 60,000 people. I walked down the room to the ring with a bucket. The night before I walked down the ring with a bucket, I upset one of his managers who I was staying at his house because I said I was hungry, and I shouldn't have said I was hungry because he's starving. Then I had to go home with Nori, this Japanese judo student that Cameron Quinn and all, we met through each other. I had to go back to the unit where I was staying and wash the bathroom floor with a toothbrush.
Penalty.
Right? And I was Carnage then. I was grand champion. But I just had to do what I was told because this is respect.
Yeah.
I get back to Australia after that experience. I get out in the Tokyo Dome. Of course, he didn't win the fight, unfortunately, but he did really well. I get back to Australia, and my promoter, Ray Matsumura, says, you've got a world title fight, December 3rd. Jeez. And I won that fight, of course, Clifton Brown, you know what I mean? So it's just a phenomenal time. Cameron was a part of that. So big respect for Cameron Quinn.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, no, that's pretty special, isn't it? How the world works and the people and the journey. And that's the bit of the Kyokushin Shuffle. That's what I wanted to do. You've nailed it, Nathan. Thank you so much. It was highlighting, it was sharing the journeys, and it was sharing, things that I guess I come in from a different angle for the listeners know, but I shared it with you. I don't have questions set up. This is a passion of mine. We're out of work here in Melbourne. It's a killer. There's no jobs, but this is a passion that I've always had, and my martial arts passion far outweighs fucking being a sales director. And you continue to motivate me to do what I'm doing. So I hope you enjoyed this chat.
No, you're doing a great job, and you might not have had questions, but you had a lot of research, so it was proper. It's good.
Good on you, man. Everyone, Thanks, Nathan Corbett. You can see he go on his website. He's got a lot of content that he's building on there. Instagram, social media is the platform. Yes, it is. You know, yes, there are some nomads on there, but then there is a gentleman like this guy who's doing so much. And yeah, let's see next year with what's going on, Nathan, people are going to need to hear your message a lot more. So I wish you all the best with what's going on, and hopefully we can get you back on later on down the track when things, you know, pick up as such and everyone's training and active and involved, and we can't wait. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome, everyone. Awesome. Thanks, Nathan.
Awesome.
Awesome.